I knew I was destined to be a famous entertainer. I just didn't know what my talent was going to be. I thought it might be acting. When I was 13, I was cast as the chief villain in my aunt's play. I was the witch that stole all the cream puffs. But I found myself sort of struggling to embody all the subtleties of my character. I was also being outacted by my 9-year-old cousin. I learned an important lesson. If something is hard and you're not good at it right away, it's probably not worth doing. I did try to see if I had other naturally occurring talents. I played guitar. I even took lessons this time, 6 lessons. But I couldn't make the F chord by the end of the 6th lesson, so that clearly wasn't my talent. By the time I'm in college, in college in Seattle, I was looking around for something that I was naturally good at and would make me famous, but, and I really can't stress this enough, would make me cool. So what are my naturally occurring talents? Well, I can talk. I'm good at talking. I've been talking my whole life. Maybe if I can't play music, I can talk about it and I can tell everyone who the cool bands are. Yeah, I'm going to have a career in music radio, and by 20, I've got this all figured out. All I need to do is just work on a few minor technical skills like how to program a radio station. I assume, though, once somebody gives me the mic, I'm going to be golden because I already know how to program my mouth. Of course, I am not going to start off at a college radio station. No, I'm fated to be a famous DJ, and my first internship is at one of the most popular radio stations in the country. KNDD made grunge happen. They were so popular that MTV was filming The Real World Seattle when I was there. And their most famous DJ Marco Collins, he's the guy who first played Nirvana on the radio. Or at least he did. Don't Wikipedia that. But Marco Collins, if he liked your band, he could make your career. And I figured this is my opportunity. Marco's gonna see me, he's gonna give me a microphone, I'm gonna get my slot, and I am gonna expose the world to all of these great bands like Slater-Kinney and Ani DeFranco, and then people are gonna tell me how cool I am, and I'm gonna be popular. It was actually a little bit of a letdown to find out that the DJs don't get to pick the music they play. Marco Collins can play what he wants to, but everybody else at KNDD, what they played was pre-programmed and predetermined right down to the last minute. And it didn't really occur to me at the time, but what the DJs have to talk about is the music. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, you have to upsell those songs. But I figured it didn't matter. Once somebody gave me the microphone, I was going to show them all how it was done. But they don't actually let interns talk on the radio. I was interning for this guy, Andy Savage. Andy was sort of a shock jock. He had the morning show from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it was, it's kind of like a morning zoo crew with fart jokes and funny noises. And I didn't really like it all that much. I actually thought, frankly, that Andy was kind of a little gross. Very early in my internship, he was featured on the cover of Seattle Weekly. It's a picture of him being straddled by a naked woman with his head through her legs, and the headline says, "Sex in the Morning." I was trying to contain my utter disdain for Andy, his program, and everything he represented in music radio. But I figured, I have all of these good ideas and I just need the right opportunity to tell him how to run his show. But what he mostly had me do was answer the phone. People call on the show for all different kinds of reasons. They're, responding to contests or requesting music, and sometimes they just want to talk to Andy. It's my job to pass on any callers that might make some good radio, but honestly, most of these people, they just seem so dumb for liking this crap. Like, for example, one time I get this caller and he's clearly doing a fake accent. And he's asked to speak to Andy, and he says, he asked if we could play some metal. And I'm just like, we're a grunge station. We don't really play metal, but I'll pass along your suggestion to Andy. Weirdo. He immediately calls back and is like, "Why'd you hang up on me? I need to talk to Andy." Yeah, I'm sorry. We can't really let that happen, but thanks again. Bye. Yeah, I know how to screen out the prank callers. The show goes on for 15 minutes, and then Andy comes into my little booth, and he's got this, like, angry expression on his face, and he says, "Hey, Rachel, my producer said that he called in and he was going to do this comedy bit, but you hung up on him twice. Pay attention, or I'm going to get somebody else to do your job." Somebody else to do my job? You're not paying me for this job. And I'm getting up at 5 a.m. for your stupid show, so why don't you give me a little appreciation? Okay, I didn't say any of that to him, but strangely enough, I never found quite the right opportunity to tell Andy what I thought of how to improve his show. But, you know, here's the thing. I knew that this internship was still going to be a way for me to showcase my talent. I just needed to find the right audience. You know, I needed to show some initiative, and somebody would give me my chance. Well, the great thing about being an intern is that you get to go backstage at the concerts. I'm talking like the big summer rock festival with the 20 bands, and they're like the hottest acts of the summer. I am finally arrived. I am with the musicians and the label people, and I'm finally mixing it up with all the other DJs. This is great, but there's always jerks at these shows. Like, there's this one band on stage, and I already didn't like them, but they're doing this thing on stage, and they're saying, "Hey, ladies, show us all your tits." Assholes. There are 14-year-old girls in this crowd. Well, you know what? I work at one of the most powerful radio stations in the country. This band needs to learn some manners. Blink 182 needs to be taught a lesson. And I start saying that out loud to anyone who will hear me. And then I see Marco Collins, and I get this idea. "Hey, Marco, you need to fuck Blink 182 in the ass." Marco Collins was gay and closeted, and I knew that at the time. I was showing off, and even I knew I crossed a line. He gets this really irritated look on his face, and he turns to the station manager and he says, "Hey, Phil, you gonna let her talk to me like that?" I am lucky that Phil was drinking and in a good mood, because he laughs it off and he just says, "Well, not on my air." So I don't get a lecture, but I feel awful. And I finished my internship up in a couple of weeks, and I never work in music radio again. And not because I was embarrassed or because I wasn't making friends at the station, although I wasn't. What I realized was I didn't need to learn how to program a radio station. I didn't love radio. I loved attention. I do feel very passionate about feminism and women in music, and eventually I will learn to properly channel that passion into a worthy project. But the first thing that I need to learn to practice is how to program my mouth.